Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price right now as we just got our first full 4-hour candle confirmation below 42,000 US dollars. Less than 30 minutes ago, snipers, I promised I'd get a video update out, and I went through all of our charts and I found 3 things that I want to highlight on today's video. Bitcoin is currently fully below its 20-week moving average with our new weekly candle. Let's keep that in mind as we go into this analysis. Let's dive straight into the chart, snipers. And the first thing that you'll notice is on the daily chart, we are now below the 50-day and 100-day moving average, but our daily candle is still currently clinging on to those levels. And so this is important to know because what that tells us is that if we're going to be seeing Bitcoin get back above 42,000, then it should happen in the next 24 hours with our new daily candle. If we open up our next daily candle fully below 42,000, that would be a very big sign of concern. The exact level is actually 41,950. So the 150-day moving average is certainly an area to watch. And I think a bigger question we want to ask ourselves is what happened to Bitcoin inside of this ascending triangle that we broke out from? I'm sure you guys remember this, snipers. We covered this quite in depth, but we were inside of this symmetrical triangle or ascending triangle, depending on how you drew the lines. We like to look at it as an ascending triangle because there were 4 points of resistance from the initial test before we got above 45,000, and that has certainly failed to hold as a support. And so we're back inside of the symmetrical triangle or ascending triangle. And so what does that mean for Bitcoin? Does that mean that we're going to be seeing even further lows below 34,788 coming towards the end of this year? Or are we still in the early stages of a reversal? Are we not going to come back down below 38,000 to revisit those lows and see continuation of the upside at some point or another? Maybe this is just a garden variety checkpoint for Bitcoin right now to accumulate more volume, as we've also been expecting sideways price action here on the Snipers channel based on that monthly MACD crossover from January and February. All of those are on the table. And because there's so many things on the table, I think it's important right now to look at revolving parts. As we were able to predict the upside move, we can also predict whether there's going to be a downside move. And so let's look at some of the revolving parts, but just keep this in mind, snipers. The range that we're playing in has a resistance of 42,000 and a support of 38,000. That is the range that we're in. And so what that means is for those that might be taking long positions on Bitcoin, we already moved through this range on the order books. We already took long positions for those on the Discord. Is it time to take long positions now that we're coming below 41,950, got a full 4-hour candle confirmation below it, and now the door is open to 38,000? I think it would be a little bit dangerous. We have to be patient because this is such a large range. If we come to 38,000, that would be a great place to take a long position on a first test because we'll certainly expect the bounce there. We know there's volume there, but the range is quite large. And so let's be privy to that. 42,000 to 38,000 is a large range. So maybe we come to 40,000, 40,500. I'm sure we'll see a lot of those charts on the internet telling you that there's this ascending support level, this ascending support level. And so I don't want to go into those potential areas Bitcoin is going to bounce at versus why don't we look at revolving parts that will give us a strong confirmation of the bias Bitcoin is currently in during this trend, because the trend is your friend. Are we in an uptrend? Is this early signs of reversal? We could be. And so what about if we're in a downtrend? What are the early signs of that? Let's look at 3 things that I want to highlight. The Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is a bullish puzzle piece still. It hasn't turned bearish. It's still holding this previous resistance now as support. If we come below 72,000 Satoshis, I'd be worried. But this is a bullish puzzle piece still on the table. Why are we going to be monitoring this? Well, if we do break down from 72,000, then we can flip it into a bearish puzzle piece. Now we can talk about maybe even more downside for Bitcoin, but I'm not going to go into more downside for Bitcoin below 38,000 unless we breach below 72,000 Satoshis. The uptrend and the potential reversal still intact based on that chart. Let's look at another puzzle piece. The DXY is important, but the DXY isn't going to give us an early indicator of whether it wants to find a resistance and top out. We'll have to look at something else. Well, the Euro to USD chart approaching these previous lows, this would be really nice to watch this week because as long as we hold above this, things are still intact. We break below, maybe we'll start talking about signs of concern. So still a bullish puzzle piece. Now, here's something I'll just throw out there because we're four-dimensional. Coinbase stock. Why don't we watch this? Also approaching these previous lows. So within the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll know we either get a bounce or we breach these lows. If we breach these lows, that's not a good puzzle piece, but so far we haven't breached those lows. So it's quite clear right now that on the daily chart, Bitcoin is still holding on to 42,000. So I'd expect here on the Snipers channel, if we had a bullish bias, then we could expect in the next 24 hours, maybe while you're watching this video, we're back above 42,000. Am I confirming that we're going to be seeing a downside scenario? We're going to be revisiting the lows below 38,000 on this video? No, absolutely not. Why? The revolving parts haven't broke down yet, but there are those three things that I just showed you that we'll monitor this week. And if they break down, we'll start to address them. But so far, we're holding intact to say that Bitcoin may bounce at 40,000. It may bounce at 39,000. It most likely, if we're bullish, it won't test 38,000. We hope that we stay above 38,000. Anything above that would still be an area Bitcoin could test to form a higher low. And so let's just be realistic. We predicted the upside move. Since then, we haven't seen any crazy bullish puzzle pieces, right? We haven't seen $500 million of USDT inter-exchanges in the last few days, last week or two maybe, since Bitcoin has slowed down, right? So we haven't been preaching bullish puzzle pieces on the channel. It's been quite clear. I've been saying that sideways is likely below 49,700. We'll move sideways for a long time because until then, we can't confirm bullishness. But right now, we are fully below the 20-week moving average. Bitcoin just got below this level. It first went above the 20-week moving average, and so it's an important week, clearly. I think those three puzzle pieces are going to give us the earliest confirmation. So far, we're still bullish with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. And so we can just continue to assume we're ready to form a higher low at some point or another right now, and that we're waiting for that confirmation. We get above 42,000, we'll start talking about upside scenarios for Bitcoin, but don't go crazy just yet. The S&P 500 is coming below its 50-week moving average right now, but it also has a lot of room to form a higher low here. And so there are no puzzle pieces confirming a breakdown to revisit the lows below 38,000. I want to be clear. Now, is there potential downside to 39,000, 40,000? It's on the table. Bitcoin's at 40,600 right now, right? We broke from 42. I told you that was an important level. And as you snipers know, our important levels are always extremely important. Just look at what happened to Bitcoin here at 41,950. It gave you time to know, okay, we came and tested 41,950. We saw some sell pressure come in, no buy pressure to equate to it. It held, and as soon as it broke down, it takes the elevator, right? Takes the elevator right when it breaks a major level. It's not moving sideways like it did here, right? There's no sideways here. It's just this, down. And so everything has been as predicted. We're always addressing the upside and downside scenarios. We know there's always an upside and downside scenario on the table here on the Snipers channel. The question is, what's happening in the macro? What are the puzzle pieces brewing for the next month to the next 6 months? And that's what we cover here on the Snipers channel. And then we combine that with the intraday analysis. So intraday, things are going to be shaky. Let's just say that. We could expect volatility below 42,000. And if we're going to be seeing a reversal, the likelihood of that should be highest in the next 24 hours because our daily candle is still at 42,000. It's holding on to it. But, you know, of course, in a few hours when our new weekly candle or our new daily candle opens, if it's fully below that $42,000 level, now we start becoming a little bit more cautious. And now we can start talking about maybe a little bit more of a slowdown, right? So we're obviously still moving to the side. That's certainly not been an issue here on the Snipers channel. We've talked about accumulating volume in this range between 40,000 and 48,000. We need more volume in this area. There's a lot of volume at 48,000. A lot of institutions came in below 38,000, but in between, we haven't yet captured too much volume. So I'm not too concerned about this move, snipers. Don't think this is a video saying that, okay, that's it, this uptrend is done, it's not intact. It's just sideways movement. I think if this were to tell us anything, it would be that maybe there is a little bit more of a sideways market ahead of us, less volatility, because maybe this uptrend isn't as strong as we think, but it doesn't mean it's still not intact. It's still there, right? So We haven't seen those confirmations. So I hope that answered some questions, snipers. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out what's going on, but just realize we moved up fast. It's not an issue for us to ladder ourselves down, but do keep in mind 38,000 is the range support right now. And so if I'm looking for long positions, I'm looking for that first test of 38,000. If I'm looking for short positions, I would not put those on the table unless we're seeing revolving parts break down. That starts to justify more bearish market sentiment, and then we could start looking at potential shorts. But right now, I would say that it's certainly a sideways path right now for Bitcoin. So let's be very cautious. All coins are kind of mixed right now. I know some are forming new lows, but a lot of them are holding up. So that's also a good thing. But those three puzzle pieces I showed you, Euro USD for the confirmation of the DXY, the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart for the confirmation of the bullish bias in the market, and then Coinbase is the only revolving part that I could find that may give us an early confirmation in the next 24 to 48 hours of something going on, because obviously that's the most crypto-centric stock in the equity markets right now, at least in the S&P 500. And so it's important to watch that. If it breaches that consolidation low, that's breaching market structure that every market has pretty much followed over the last few weeks, which is they all bottomed out at some point and have slightly recovered. And so Coinbase breaching that low to me says that, okay, if that lost its recovery fully, it could put that on the table for other crypto assets. And so that's why I think that's an important revolving part. Probably not as significant as the other two, but let's see what happens, snipers. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below as well. Smash like button if you love these updates. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you tuned into the channel. I couldn't do this without you. And until next time, I think that an emergency update would come if we come down to test 38,000, of course. But even if we can get above 42,000, depending on how that price action moves forth, if we see a bullish confirmation above 42,000, I'll get an update out to you guys, because that could confirm that that's it for the downside. So between 38,000 and 42,000, maybe that'll be the range that we monitor over the next week. Let's see. So this very premature move right now. 4-hour candle just confirmed below 42,000 less than an hour ago. And so we'll see what happens. I just wanted to make sure I gave you guys my thoughts, what I found on the charts during this move. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Snipers out.